Ready for discovery? South by Southwest 2026 takes over Austin, Texas this March 12th through 18th. Expect the unexpected, where innovation, film and TV, music, and culture collide. Hear from global thought leaders, experience unforgettable screenings, and catch your future favorite artists all in 1 week. Unlock a 10% discount on your innovation badge when you use code CityCast10 at sxsw.com/Philly. Terms apply. Start planning your adventure today. Valentine's Day is this Saturday, so if you're still looking to meet someone new, we have an idea. It's not a dating app. This is about old school, real life interactions at a bar. Seems simple, right? It might just be because more than 200 couples have found love at Philly's oldest bar in Center City. With stats like that, we had to listen back to a conversation between me and Chris Mullins, the owner of McGillin's Old Ale House, to learn just how all these people are falling in love and staying together. It's Thursday, February 12th. I'm Trenae Nuri, and here's how to find love in Philly. McGillin's Old Ale House is known for two things, right? Being the oldest bar in the city and also where more than 200 couples have fallen in love.
It's true. It's true. Every week, another couple contacts us to say they met here, whether it was 50 years ago or 2 years ago. You know, it's every week, which is amazing.
How do you even know that? Like, how do you keep track of these, I guess, success stories?
Sure. Yeah. It started about 15 years ago. We always knew that people would say, oh, my aunt and uncle met at McGillin's, or, my nieces or my neighbors met at McGillin's. And for a long time, we did it just orally, word of mouth and great stories of, family lore. And it came to a point about 15 years ago where we said, oh my gosh, there are dozens of couples that have met here. We better start keeping track. So we started like a guest book, and we asked couples to start signing it, giving us a little brief history, writing like the date that they met and contact information. And within maybe a year, the whole book was full.
Wow.
It's constant where we're finding people, or people are finding us or coming to tell us their stories. And we just think it's so special. And, it's history, it's Philadelphia history, it's McGillin's history, it's family history. And we just love to be part of it.
Is it something in the beer? Like, what's happening over there?
Well, guess what? You stole my punchline, but yes. Yeah. That's the only explanation that we can have because, we're not a pretentious place at all. If you've ever been here, it's super casual, but we're not a dive bar. We really maintain this old structure really nicely. We always keep it very festive and it's fun. And our expectations are, when people leave, they're saying, they had the best night of their lives. And hopefully it includes meeting their future mate. But it's that casualness, it's crowded, it's communal. So many of our tables are communal seating. And it's just a nice time for people to hang out, let loose, and lose their pretenses, and have a couple beers too.
Hi there, my name is Aoife.
And I'm Cody.
We met on December 22nd, 2019, watching the Eagles versus Cowboys game. I was at McGillin's with my cousin.
Yeah, and I was there with a couple of friends, and we were all at a table, and Aoife and her cousin happened to walk by, and we instantly hit it off and started talking to them.
So we're all drinking beer, just celebrating the Eagles. The energy was just perfect. And when I met Cody, it was pretty much love at first sight, and we just instantly hit it off.
Yeah, and at the end of the night, after all of our celebrating, we exchanged numbers and went on a few dates in between Christmas and New Year's, and stayed in touch. Began long-distance dating in February for about 2 years while Aoife was still in Philly and I was in Connecticut.
We ended up getting married in Orange Beach, Alabama, which is the town next to Pensacola where we were living, on October 28th, 2023. And our groom's cake actually had a picture of McGillin's on it, and on the other side was a Eagles logo. So definitely a very important part to our wedding.
That's pretty much it.
Thank you so
thank
much
you
for having us.
and go birds.
Have you learned anything like interesting about love by watching all of this kind of unfold?
I think I would say I've learned more about technology, that we have all these different apps for mating people, and they're great, right? And the majority of people still do that. But what we love here is that you can still have a 22-year-old person meet their husband or their wife in the old fashioned way, face to face, spending, hours in a corner chatting and catching up and connecting their stories and where they grew up and where they're from. And that I think is what I love, right? Because that used to be the only way people would meet. But we're fortunate enough that we're still carrying on that tradition of face to face interpersonal connections.
It's interesting though, because some people say it's a wild, wild west on the apps. And, I've heard people say dating is hard in Philly. So again, like, what is it about McGillin's that is getting people together?
Well, I think, first of all, on an app and you're swiping left or swiping right, you're not really giving the other person any chance, right? Like, I personally have never done it, so I'm not quite familiar with all the ins and outs of it. But you know what I mean? It's such a brief judgment. Whereas when you're here, there might be brief judgment. Somebody steps in next to you and you say, "Oh, I don't want to talk to you." But over a couple hours being here, there's no guarantee. But I think that just that interpersonal connection, that chance encounter, it's old-fashioned romance.
I love it. What are some of your favorite stories of couples that have met at the bar?
My favorite couple story definitely is Fran and Linda. They worked here back in the 70s, back when my grandfather and his brother owned the bar. He was a doorman and she was a server. And they fell in love. They got married. Their wedding was here. John Doyle, who is our bartender still to this day, he's been here for 50 years. He was the best man. And Cassie, who is a server all the way up into COVID and then just recently retired, she was the maid of honor. And it's true family, right? I mean, they are wonderful people with great memories and they love to celebrate their anniversary every year here at McGillin's. That to me is the favorite because there's a four-sided connection to McGillin's and my family. But we have stories like there's a woman who was leaving the convent and happened to come in here with her best friend and met a sailor and
A nun
fell in
and a
love.
sailor?
Sailor. Yeah, I know. It sounds like the ultimate joke, right?
Right.
And it's like their family, we're part of their family history. They celebrate anniversaries and, all kind of milestones. And it's a nice feeling when we're part of their family and they're part of ours.
Okay. A lot of love here. Your parents also have like a beautiful love story.
I'm not sure if my mother or father would actually say that, but they have a wonderful marriage. They're the greatest parents. They are shining examples to so many people. And the two of them, both in college and early, their professional careers worked here and overlapped, but they met while working at Williamson's, which was an old restaurant, small family chain. And my parents both worked for the Williamsons and met on Cape Cod. And their lives were rooted in hospitality and they continue doing so to this day. They're really amazing people and the consummate professionals in the hospitality industry.
More on this story after the break. Okay, so your parents, so if I get this story right, your grandfather and uncle owned the bar, and then it was your parents who took over.
So my grandfather and his brother Joe bought McGillin's in 1958 from the McGillin's family. The McGillin's had it for 3 generations. And over that time, just being in the bar business, as everybody knows, it doesn't get any easier, no matter how many years you do it. And there's just a lack of interest in continuing it. So in their 98th year of owning McGillin's, they sold the bar to my grandfather and his brother, and they ran it for 35 years, which again is like a lifetime in this industry. And my parents bought it to give them an opportunity to rest and enjoy the fruits of their labor. So in 93, my parents bought it. And I don't know how familiar you are with Center City back in 1993, but it was a far different place than it is today. There was no Kimmel Center. There's a 13th Street was an area that was avoided by most tourists. So my parents saw an opportunity with that. McGillin's was closed at 8:00 at night, which people are shocked to hear.
Yeah.
It was just a different scene. And so my parents have a genius for this business and saw an opportunity. So they took it over in 93, turned the business around through a lot of hard work. I joined them in 2006 to give them a break, I thought. But guess what? They don't take breaks at all. So they work hard every day. My mother did retire with COVID. But my father, who's 77 years old, works as though he's a 40-year-old, and a real inspiration for me. So I'm lucky to have that.
We heard from couple Ron and Donna Saccone, who met back in the 80s at the bar.
July 12th, 1980 was one of the nights I went to McGillin's with my friends. And I found myself standing at my usual spot against a structural pillar beam in the center of the McGillin's floor. My eyes caught a glimpse of this really pretty girl, this really cute girl sitting at the bar with her friends. I made up my mind that I was going to try to meet her. I didn't go up to her right away, but just kept staring many times in her direction. I finally got the nerve to approach her. After some small talk, amid subtle giggles and stares, uncomfortable stares back and forth between her and her friends and at me, I found out that she was a nurse. What are the odds? When I told her I was a doctor, she kind of laughed. She couldn't believe that I looked like a doctor and thought I was just trying to impress her. Well, we spent the rest of the night talking and doing some dancing on the tiny dance floor that was there in McGillin's at 1980. We left the bar and ended up in front of the old Wanamaker's building, in front of a big glass front that was cordoned off and blocked because they were filming the movie Blowout with John Travolta. The girls' friends were following behind us. We stopped there and they went to their car. The car was not far away, and the girls, her friends, were getting impatient, wondering if we were going to stop making out. Fast forward almost 3 years, I was back at McGillin's bar with Donna. I maneuvered her to that same central supporting pillar beam, proposed to her, and fortunately she said yes. I really think that all the dancing we did on that tiny McGillin's dance floor prepped us for what we had to do at our wedding. Now, after over 40 years of marriage and almost 45 years of knowing each other, we are still very much in love with each other. She is my best friend. We have 3 children and 1 granddaughter. Life is good.
I guess, to the best of my knowledge, everything he said was true. All kidding aside, though, after 40-something years of sharing life with Ron, it has been an incredible journey. And I owe it all to a charming, quaint pub in Philadelphia called McGillin's. Who would have thought I'd meet my soulmate in a bar? Ron is my best friend, my partner, and my endless love. Here's to many more Saturday nights at McGillin's.
Okay, Chris, what's your love story?
My love story, my partner and I have been together for 18 years, and it's another partnership made in hospitality heaven. So he has a marketing firm here in Philadelphia that represents the tourism and hospitality industry and nonprofit industries. And me being here at McGillin's Old Ale House, it's a very compatible lifestyle.
Did you meet at McGillin's?
We didn't meet at McGillin's. There was a gallery around the corner called Absolute Abstract, and they were doing a grand opening for an expansion that they were undergoing, and there was way too many similarities in our lives not to pursue it.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, so are there like, I don't know, do you have like some advice, some tips? Like when a single person walks into the bar, I mean, like what should be the first things that they do so that they could stand out and get chosen?
But I don't know. Wouldn't you say though, don't stand out? You know, like just
Be
be
the cool person.
yourself,
Yeah.
be cool and quiet. I mean, be fun. Hey, if you're like you love to jump around and dance, jump around and dance. Don't do something that you're not comfortable with. But I think it's a lot of times it's when people aren't trying to stand out and they are their best selves. You're just kind of natural and chill. But then again, we hear stories of couples they met over shots, doing shots at the bar, or singing karaoke. But again, it's about the fun and lowering your guard and just being true to yourself.
Amanda Garland met her husband, Mark, at one of those karaoke nights.
It was April 20th, 2011. I was finishing up grad school classes and went out for happy hour with a friend of mine. And he was there with a couple of friends after a Phillies game. And it was karaoke night. And McGillin's has tables that are very cramped and crowded next to each other. And so the only two seats we could get was next to Mark and his two friends who were coming back from the Eagles game. So you're sitting awkwardly close to people and you just start talking to them. And so we started talking to them. And that was it. We met. We were talking with them for hours and into karaoke night. And then Mark ended up walking me home. He was a gentleman. He was very polite and walked me home and asked me for my number. And then a couple weeks later, he asked me on a date. And then we were dating since. And then 5 years later, we got married. We actually have a daughter now. And when the marketing person from McGillin's reached out about this, we were explaining to her, she's just very nosy and curious, and we were explaining to her what this was all about. And so she wanted to go there. She wanted to see McGillin's. And so we took her to McGillin's. And it was funny to be back there.
Do you think that there is enough love in the city?
In a city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, I'd say there is. I think, there's a lot of pain in our city, which is unfortunate. But I think in and around that pain, there's families that are so super tight and proud, that work hard every day to take care of their families and their loved ones and their neighbors. I think we hear too many stories about the challenges our city faces, and we don't hear enough about the greatness of our city and the depths of passion and love that we do have for our neighbors. I think that's a story that can be told far more than it is. But we are a city of neighbors, and I think there is a lot of love in the city. Not just for the Eagles.
Okay, Chris, you told me that you guys are in the 4th edition of the Love Book. What time of the year has been like popular for the couples that are in the book?
I think, and we haven't studied that, but that sounds like a study. We have to get an intern or something to conduct that study. But the fact of the matter is, and this is going back to, you can't put a time on any of it, right? It comes when you least expect it. If it happens on Valentine's, boy, isn't that great? But I think generally it would happen when we are the most busy, when there's a lot of people and a lot of body heat and a lot of dancing and singing and letting down your guard. And you just never know who you're going to bump into, bump somebody's elbow, and the rest is history.
I love that. Chris, thank you so much for spending this time with me on CityCast Philly.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope to see you here at McGillin's.
Yeah, take a shot.
Please, come on.
That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. If you liked these meet cutes at McGillin's, share this with that friend who would be a good wing person for you. And sign up for our morning newsletter to learn more about what else Philly's talking about. There's a link in the show notes. And you can support our work by becoming a CityCast Philly neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with the Friday News Roundup. Bye.